Welcome back to Badass is the New Black podcast. I'm your host, Chrissy Chin, a podcast where I help guide you to build a badass brand, leverage your social media, master your marketing, and scale through automation so you can work less and enjoy more. A few episodes ago, I threw out there a 20-minute private session to someone who reached out to me, sent me a message, and let me know what they were struggling with in their business so I could help them. Huge shout out to Lori Harrington for reaching out and winning this private session. Girl, you have a week to send me a message to schedule your 20-minute session. Today, I want to talk about mindset. I want to talk about working really hard to achieve your goals. I want to talk about leveraging your uniqueness to make it to the top. So let's dive right in. I just got done watching The Last Dance. It's a series on ESPN about Michael Jordan, who is one of the best basketball players of all time. This series is so good, and I highly recommend watching it. So in his career, he scored 32,292 points, but he wasn't the best when he started playing. He didn't even make the varsity team after he tried out, and he went home and he cried about it. And then he turned that cut into motivation. And that was where his journey really started to become the best. And he did become the best. And I want you to remember this the next time that you feel like you weren't born the greatest of all time in whatever it is that you're doing. And have that mindset that you can get better at something when you put in the work, and it will go a long way. But you have to put in the work. He put in the work. He worked so hard. He practiced a ton. It's just crazy. You have to watch the series. Oh, I've also heard, and this kind of goes with this, I've heard that it's not good to tell your kids how smart they are or to compliment them on how smart they are, because if they fail at something, then they will think that they're not smart enough to do it, right? So rather than complimenting your kid on how smart they are, you compliment them on how hard they worked. So let's say they're doing a puzzle and they did it really fast. Instead of saying, "Oh my gosh, you did that so fast, you're so smart," you would say, "Oh my gosh, you did that so fast. You worked so hard on that puzzle. Great job." And so complimenting them on how hard they worked so that they realize and get it ingrained in their brain. It's not a matter of how smart you are or how gifted you are, but rather how hard you worked to accomplish that. And that will instill good work ethic. And that's what Michael Jordan had. He had impeccable work ethic to get better and better at his passion and love of basketball. So I think instilling that good work ethic is just so amazing to set kids up for success. And maybe this wasn't instilled in you as a child because your parents didn't get that tip. But it's not too late for you to shift your mindset and realize it's not about how smart you are, but rather how hard you work to get there. So I noticed another mindset practice that Michael Jordan and I have in common, which is pretty cool, I just want to say. But in this series, it stated, this is in the very last episode, it stated that Michael Jordan didn't allow things that he couldn't control to get inside his head. And when I heard them say that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's like me. I'm like Michael Jordan. What? It's so crazy. I'm like as cool as Michael Jordan. But my husband, I said it out loud and I was like, oh my God, that's so like me. And my husband kind of gave me this side-eyed look like, really, Chrissy? Okay, whatever. But it's funny because my husband really gets mad at me sometimes because I don't get upset about things that I can't control. I don't let it affect me. I focus on the things that I can control and I focus my energy there and I don't let the other get in my way. And he's not that way. And so when we come up with a situation, I don't know, someone cuts me off or whatever, like I can't control that they just did that. They just cut me off in traffic. But what I can control is how I respond and react. And so I don't get really upset. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, that sucked. Okay, we're safe, we're good. And he takes it as that I don't care. And this has happened many times. Like, it's just like, you don't care. And it's like, it's not that I don't care. I know that I can't control that. And so there's no point in me wasting my energy on that. I want to focus my energy on what I can control, what I can get better at, what I can, whatever, fill in the blank. And so anyway, I just thought that was really cool that that's a mindset that he has, that they've talked about in this series, and that I have that too. And so I want to pass that off to you. If you sit back and think, gosh, do I get really upset about the things that I can't control? Or do I focus that energy, instead of being upset about something or letting it affect me negatively, can I shift my mindset and let that be and focus on the things that I can control, that I can get better at, that I can do to get me the things that I want? What is your mindset like? And how hard are you willing to work to get where you want to go? So those are my 2 questions for you based off of that series that I just watched, and you should watch it as well. Let's take a tiny little break from this badass podcast to talk about Kajabi, or as my husband calls it, Punjabi. Babe, it starts with a K. Kajabi. This is the platform that literally makes all the magic happen. It's plug and play, no coding necessary. And guess what, you guys? The best thing about it is that you get your very own mobile app with it. I looked into building an app and it was going to be over $100,000. You get your own right there. The platform is so affordable too. So instead of paying for individual platforms like your CRM system, which is going to host your email, your landing pages, which is going to capture your email, your website, which is going to be where all the magic happens, a community space, it's literally all in one. So it doesn't matter if you want to host courses, educational classes, have libraries in there for your team. This is absolutely the way to go. And I have a month free for you to check it out. So hop over to my website, thechrissychin.com/Kajabi, Kajabi, and you can check out a month for free. I cannot wait to see what you create. Please do me a favor, send me a DM, send me an email once you've created something so I can see it and check it out. Can't wait for you to get started and scale your business like a badass boss. All right, let's get back to the podcast. I watched another movie a while ago called In Search of Greatness. And I don't know if you can get your hands on it, but if you can, it's also really good. It featured Pele, who's one of the best soccer players, Jerry Rice, one of the best football players, Wayne Gretzky, best hockey player, Serena Williams, tennis, Michael Jordan. They showed some images of him. They didn't really focus on him a lot that I remember. Ricky Marciano, if I'm probably not saying that right, but he was a boxer. And so they focused on all these amazing, amazing people and looked at why they were so great. So this poses the question about how to get great. So we're all doing it wrong. Now we're running drills after drills. We're picking people that we think will be great based on their stats. You know, if they're boxing, if their reach is really long, that means that they could train to be one of the best boxers. But that wasn't the case for these people. What they noticed, and my big takeaway from this movie, was that none of these people had the stats that made people think they were going to be great. So in translation into the business world, it would be like having a business degree or not having a business degree, or growing up in a family that owned a business, or you had an IQ of a certain number that made you more prone to being successful because you were smart. But the reality is that that stuff that people might think would qualify you or make it so that you're going to be really successful doesn't really matter. This movie, while it focuses on sports, not business, obviously, points out that it's about the love and the dedication you have to getting great, and also your ability to think outside the box, to leverage your weaknesses as your biggest strengths. And it covers other things, so I highly recommend watching it. But those were 2 points that it made that I want to talk about in this episode. So I don't know if you can really train to get passionate about something. I think that just either you are or you aren't passionate about something, or something happens in your life and maybe you weren't passionate about it before, but something happens and triggers you and now you're passionate about it, or you love it, or you want to learn more. So Wayne Gretzky said that while his friends were going to the movies, he just wanted to go to the pond and shoot pucks. He loved watching the game and studying players, and he could remember everything about those games and how those players moved. And it reminds me of when I was in volleyball, when I played in high school. I was telling my husband this last night, and I was like, and Michael Jordan too, he would remember everything about those players. Oh, he plays on his toes. So I knew if I faked him out, he would keep going and I'd be able to get around him because he just studied these people. And I was like, I feel like that's why the girls in volleyball that were on my team that went off to play in college and were amazing at what they did, that was how they thought. That was what they did. They remembered players. And I remember them talking about, oh, there's this player on this team that we're playing and she does this and that. And I was like, I don't even remember any of these people that we've played before. And my mind didn't really work that way. And also I don't think I was that passionate about it to want to watch the games of the other players and study them so that I could figure out how to beat them. That's just not where my head was at. I was just 16 playing volleyball and just trying to get the ball, dive for the ball wherever it landed. And so that was I just recognized that, gosh, same with these amazing players, same in my high school, the girls that went off and did next level. And that just wasn't me. So I noticed this about me in terms of finding success when I finally found that thing that I fell in love with. For me, it was business. And kind of in that business world, when I was a nurse, I never wanted to stay in and study science instead of go out with my friends. You know, I loved it. I thought it was cool, but I didn't want to eat, sleep, and poop nursing and science and all of that. But business for me, that is a whole nother story. I love business, like to its core. And I love learning about it. And I love testing things out with it. And I love asking questions about it. I love challenging myself with it. And a lot of times I would rather just hang out with a bunch of business savvy people and talk business than do anything else. Okay, well, maybe except for wake surfing. Nope, that's a lie. I would rather talk about business than wake surfing if I could only pick one of the two, I think. All right. I know that has helped me generate the success that I've achieved in a relatively short amount of time. The fact that I love it so much, and I equate my love for business and desire to learn more and get stronger and more efficient and better to this love that they had for sports. And while I don't think you can force a love of something on yourself, I do think that if you start your business, so back to business, because you're not trying to make the Olympics listening here. So back to business. If you start your business in something that you are truly passionate about, and by passionate, I mean just that you love learning about it, you love creating in it, and that you would learn, teach, and create in that space, probably for free, just so you could immerse yourself in it. So if you start your business in something that you love and believe in, you will be successful because you will spend the time and the dedication yourself and work really, really hard, work as hard as you need to be successful in it. So that's a question to answer. What is it that you love to do? If you can identify that and figure out how to monetize that, then you can have a really successful business that you absolutely love. The other main point was that while these players didn't fit the mold when you looked at, their measurements and things like that, they leveraged their weakness and used them as their strengths. So Rocky Marciano, totally botching that probably. He was a boxer. He was a shorter boxer, and his reach was just not very far. And he had to get really low and get in really close on an opponent to beat them. And when he discovered this, he just never lost. He used his disadvantage of being small and having a shorter reach to his advantage. And it helped him win and become one of the greatest boxers. Wayne Gretzky, same thing. He didn't have the size that other players had. He studied and used his imagination to figure out how to beat it. He noticed that when he played behind the goal, no one followed him back there. And so he didn't need the size to beat them or to be better, right? He leveraged his uniqueness, his weakness and turned it into a strength. So my question to you is, What is your weakness that you can leverage to be your biggest strength? What is it that makes you unique? Think about these things over the next week. I would love, love, love to connect with you, to hear more about what you're passionate about, what you love, what you would do for free if you couldn't get paid on it. And then my job is to help guide you and to figure out how you can get paid on it, that thing that you love. But the dedication that you have and how you're using your weakness to your advantage. So I would love to hear more about that. If you loved this episode, or if you've loved any that you've listened to, please, please go leave a review of the podcast and share this episode with your friends. Don't forget to tag or mention me so that I can show you some love right back and share it on my stories. I will see you next week, my friends.